from the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day. This is Dateline Malacañang in review. Outgoing United States President Joe Biden praised Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. for his firm diplomatic response to China's ongoing aggression in the South China Sea, or SCS, signaling stronger regional ties between the U.S., the Philippines, and Japan. In a virtual trilateral meeting Monday, the three nations reaffirmed their commitment to enhancing cooperation with a focus on maritime security, economic resilience, and technology. Biden, who held talks with President Marcos and Japanese Prime Minister Ishiba Shigeru, hailed the progress of the trilateral partnership since the April 2024 summit in Washington. President Marcos is also confident that the three countries will continue to deepen their partnership. Biden also praised the Philippine president for his diplomatic leadership in the face of China's aggressive and coercive activities in the SCS, and is optimistic that his successor will also see the value of continuing this partnership and that it is framed the right way. Meanwhile, Ishiba stressed the importance of furthering the trilateral cooperation in a variety of fields, highlighting the strategic importance of unity among the three nations.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang on Monday expressed support for the nationwide peace rally of the religious group Iglesia ni Cristo, or INC, emphasizing that the right to peaceably assemble is a fundamental, constitutionally protected right. In a statement, Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin assured that all government agencies are prepared to assist in maintaining peace, managing traffic, and providing emergency services as INC members gather across the country. The palace official also hoped that the gathering would serve as a platform for constructive opinions and help guide the nation toward lasting unity and progress. Malacañang has suspended work in government offices and classes at all levels in the cities of Manila and Pasay in anticipation of the gathering. The Metro Manila Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council has also raised its red alert status to ensure comprehensive safety measures for the event, expected to draw 500,000 to 1 million participants to the Carino Grandstand in Manila. INC-led rallies will also be held simultaneously in other cities across the country.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Tuesday directed Health Secretary Teodoro Herbosa to ensure that the services of the Philippine Health Insurance Corporation, or PhilHealth, run without a hitch, even with zero government subsidy for the year 2025. Herbosa, as head of the Department of Health, or DOH, concurrently sits as ex-officio chairperson of the state insurance firm. During a meeting in Malacañang, the president said the zero subsidy for 2025 should not affect the delivery of healthcare services. PhilHealth received zero subsidy for 2025 due to its reserve funds pegged at around 150 billion pesos. At the same time, the chief executive doubled down on his administration's pledge to prioritize critical sectors like education, healthcare, and infrastructure in the 2025 budget, stressing that social services will remain a top priority. President Marcos also pushed for a shift in the DOH's strategy away from a cure mentality and toward a stronger emphasis on prevention, quoting the age-old wisdom of an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. Likewise, President Marcos Jr. highlighted the urgent need to digitize DOH operations to improve efficiency and service delivery, part of his vision to modernize the country's healthcare infrastructure.
Dateline Malacañang.
Also on Tuesday, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. instructed the Department of Information and Communications Technology, or DICT, to prioritize its Common Tower Program, or CTP, to improve service delivery and connectivity across the country. During a meeting with DICT Secretary Ivan John Uy in Malacañang, the President emphasized the importance of the program. The CTP is central to the government's efforts to expand telecommunication infrastructure and reach underserved areas. The chief executive was also briefed on the government's progress in digitalization, with the number of government systems now at 1,277, way beyond the previous 250. This shift has significantly boosted the efficiency of public services. Uy also assured President Marcos that the DICT is on track to improve Wi-Fi access with an ongoing renewal of 15,715 free Wi-Fi access points funded with 6 billion pesos. 1.5 billion pesos is also expected to be allocated for new sites and continued initiatives, including the CTP. The program is projected to directly benefit more than 400,000 individuals and indirectly serve more than 2 million people nationwide.
Dateline Malacañang.
Still on Tuesday, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. said the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD's priority programs for 2025 must be listed in the programmed appropriations of next year's national budget. Correction, that was 2026. During a meeting at Malacañang Palace in Manila, the President stressed the need to exclude the DSWD programs in the unprogrammed appropriations next year to ensure the immediate delivery of services to the poor, vulnerable, and disadvantaged sectors. The DSWD budget was reduced by 10.85 billion pesos, or 4.79%, from 226.67 billion pesos in the 2025 National Expenditure Program, or NEP, to 215.82 billion pesos in the General Appropriations Act, or GAA. President Marcos convened the meeting with the DSWD to discuss the results of the review of the government agency's priority projects in the 2025 NEP that were defunded in the 2025 GAA. The DSWD is requesting 41.8 billion pesos as additional funding from the unprogrammed appropriations to cover the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program, or 4-piece grants, for the period of August to December 2025. Programmed appropriations already have definite funding sources and are readily implementable. On the other hand, unprogrammed appropriations are standby appropriations, which authorize additional agency expenditures for priority programs and projects, in excess of the original budget only when revenue collections exceed targets or when additional foreign project loan proceeds are realized. During the first full cabinet meeting on January 7th, President Marcos ordered the review of the programs in the NEP that were defunded by Congress, particularly those critical to the socio-economic program. President Marcos also sought the restoration of budget for critical projects of the administration.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Tuesday expressed his intent to enhance the Philippines' bilateral ties with India amid political challenges in the Indo-Pacific region. This was after Indian Minister of State for External Affairs Pabitra Margarita made a courtesy call on the President at Malacañang Palace in Manila. Margarita underscored the importance of his visit to Manila, acknowledging the 75 years of India's diplomatic relations with the Philippines. He also conveyed India's love and respect for the Philippines. Margarita's visit to the Philippines comes in the wake of the third summit of the Forum for Indo-Pacific Islands Cooperation, chaired by Indonesian Prime Minister Narendra Modi in May of 2023. During his stay in the country, Margarita is expected to pay floral tributes at the bust of Mahatma Gandhi, known as the father of the Indian nation, at Miriam College in Manila. He would also meet with members of the Indian diaspora in the Philippines. His visit also coincides with the celebration of the 75th anniversary of India-Philippines bilateral relations. The visit aims to sustain India's strong and close ties with the Philippines as part of India's Act Easy policy and vision of the Indo-Pacific. The Philippines and India formally established diplomatic relations on November 26, 1949, after Manila and New Delhi gained independence in 1946 and 1947, respectively.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other Malacañang news, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has expressed optimism that the Philippines will be able to sustain its strong economic, diplomatic, and defense relations with the United States under President-elect Donald Trump's leadership. This, as President Marcos, during a telephone call with outgoing U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris on Tuesday, emphasized the significant progress in the two nations' bilateral ties. Harris said there is bipartisan support within the U.S. Congress and Washington for the strengthening of ties with the Philippines, especially in terms of security, economic prosperity, and people-to-people connections. She also stressed the need to maintain the U.S.'s steadfast support for the Philippines, especially amid China's continued aggression in the West Philippine Sea or WPS. President Marcos thanked Harris for her continued support for the Philippines, acknowledging the robust and productive partnership with the United States under the watch of outgoing U.S. President Joe Biden. The chief executive acknowledged that the Philippines' trilateral cooperation with the U.S. and Japan has gained recognition within the Association of Southeast Asian Nations or ASEAN, strengthening the regional bloc's collective position on pressing issues in the WPS. Harris also emphasized the importance of the Philippines, the U.S., and Japan's trilateral cooperation, saying it is a very important way to deepen economic cooperation and build secured supply chains, as well as promote security across the region.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday instructed the Department of Budget and Management or DBM to restore the 400 million peso branding budget for the Department of Tourism or DOT to sustain the country's growing global presence. In a meeting in Malacañang, the President underscored the importance of continuing the momentum the Philippines has gained in international recognition to improve the country's global standing and lure more tourists. The chief executive added that the funding will be sourced from his contingency fund, aiming to ensure that the Philippines maintains its upward trajectory in global visibility. Tourism Secretary Cristina Garcia Frasco echoed President Marcos's view, stressing the need for adequate resources to continue promoting the Philippines as a top international destination. She warned that insufficient funding would hinder her agency's ability to engage target audiences, reduce trade and consumer activation opportunities, and limit global media outreach. In her presentation, the tourism chief also highlighted the success of the Philippines tourism campaign, noting that the country garnered 760 billion pesos in international visitor receipts in 2024. Furthermore, foreign tourists are staying longer in the country with an average stay of 11 nights in 2024, compared to just 9 nights in 2019. The DOT has formally requested the reinstatement of the 400 million peso branding budget to further capitalize on the momentum and expand its efforts to attract international visitors.
Dateline Malacañang.
Also on Wednesday, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. pledged to find ways to secure funding for the continued construction of the 5-hectare Virology and Vaccine Institute of the Philippines, or VIP building, at the New Clark City in Capas, Tarlac Province. President Marcos made the vow following the Department of Science and Technology, or DOST's funding request for the VIP project to prevent delays and avoid structural deterioration of the VIP administration building. During the meeting, DOST Secretary Renato Solidum Jr. told the President that around 680 million pesos is needed for the VIP and its planned initiatives, including the development of vaccines for humans, animals, and plants. The chief executive acknowledged the importance of the establishment of the VIP in preparation for another possible global pandemic. President Marcos Jr. held a meeting with the DOST to discuss the agency's 2025 budget and its upcoming programs and projects. Solidum noted that for this year's spending plan, the Department of Public Works and Highways, or DPWH, has no allocated budget for the VIP. The President assured Solidum for his support, of his support for the VIP, saying he would look for funding sources to ensure the completion of the project. Solidum said the VIP would not be limited to human health concerns, adding that it would also address viruses affecting animal and plant health. The creation of VIP is one of the priority projects of the current administration, mentioned during President Marcos's first State of the Nation Address, or SONA. Once completed, it will become an attached agency under the DOST. The VIP is envisioned to be the premier research and development institute in the field of virology, encompassing all areas of viruses and viral diseases in humans, plants, and animals. Its establishment is seen as a sustainable approach against other possible emerging, re-emerging, and novel viruses that may arise in the future.
Dateline Malacañang.
Still on Wednesday, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. vowed to provide adequate funds for the construction of large dams in the country as he met with National Irrigation Administration or NIA officials to discuss the agency's strategic plans and projects for 2025. During their meeting in Malacañang, the President stressed the importance of establishing big dams not only for irrigation but also for other purposes. NIA Administrator Eduardo Eddie Guillen presented to the Chief Executive the agency's objectives to enhance irrigation efficiency, ensure continuous operation of existing irrigation service areas, and maintain current irrigated lands. Guillen said NIA has plans to improve service roads along irrigation canals. Under NIA's 2025 programs, activities and projects or PAPs, the agency allocated around 20.84 billion pesos for the pump irrigation sub-program and 7.88 billion for Stage 2 of the Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur, Abra Irrigation Project or INISAIP. About 2.49 billion pesos would be earmarked for the Balog-Balog Multipurpose Project Phase 2 in Tarlac, while 99.5 million pesos would be used for the Special Irrigation Sub-Program. Guillen said the PAPs would incorporate technological interventions and modernization of irrigation systems to mitigate the effects of climate change. President Marcos said the government has enough savings to fund the irrigation projects, noting that there is around 22.882 billion pesos in the 2025 General Appropriations Act. The government is eyeing the completion of 3 to 5 big dam projects before President Marcos's term ends in 2028. These include the Tamawini River Multipurpose Project in Cagayan Valley, the Panay River Basin in Panay Island, and other projects in the Ilocos region. These are on top of the more or less 20 medium-scale irrigation projects that the NIA aims to construct under President Marcos's watch.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news, Japanese Foreign Minister Iwaya Takeshi on Wednesday sought President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s continued support for Japan's closer cooperation with the Philippines to address security issues and other challenges in the Indo-Pacific region. In a courtesy call on President Marcos at Malacañang Palace, Iwaya stressed the importance of cooperation of like-minded countries in the face of a more serious conflict in the region. Iwaya said the Philippines and Japan, as strategic partners, share fundamental values and principles. Prior to his meeting with the President, Iwaya held a bilateral meeting with Department of Foreign Affairs or DFA Secretary Enrique Manalo in Taguig City, where the Japanese official conveyed Japan's grave concerns over repeated actions that heighten tensions in the South China Sea or SCS. Iwaya confirmed that Japan will continue its official security assistance or OSA to enhance the country's maritime security as well as its official development assistance or ODA for the improvement of Philippine maritime safety capabilities. Tokyo has so far signed 2 OSAs with Manila with the 611 million peso grant to provide equipment for the Philippine Navy and the Philippine Air Force as the most recent one. Against the backdrop of an increasingly severe strategic environment in the region, Iwaya said, Tokyo places great importance on its strategic partnership with Manila. Iwaya's meeting with the Philippine President comes after the latter's virtual trilateral meeting with outgoing United States President Joe Biden and Japanese Prime Minister Ishiba Shigeru. During the trilateral meeting, Marcos, Biden and Ishiba reaffirmed their commitment to enhance the three nations' cooperation on maritime security, economic resilience, and technology. President Marcos Jr. told Iwaya that the Philippines would continue working with the U.S. and Japan to sustain the gains that have been made in deepening the trilateral ties.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. is determined to recover funds for foreign-assisted projects under the Department of Public Works and Highways or DPWH following significant budget cuts in the 2025 national budget. In a meeting in Malacañang on Thursday, the President discussed the DPWH's budget review under the fiscal year 2025 General Appropriations Act or GAA. President Marcos noted a considerable shortfall in the DPWH's funding request. The budget for the DPWH in the 2025 GAA was slashed across several key programs, including payments for right-of-way or ROW issues, contractual obligations, taxes, and feasibility studies. Other affected areas include the Katuparan Program, which supports infrastructure projects like roads and airports, as well as the agency's Bridge Program, Tourism Road Infrastructure Program or TRIP, and Roads Leveraging Linkages of Industry and Trade or ROLIT Program. Foreign-assisted projects were also among those seeing significant cuts. Despite these reductions, the total budget for the DPWH saw a net increase of 188.8 billion pesos, up by nearly 21%, rising from 900 billion pesos in the proposed National Expenditure Program to 1.088 trillion pesos in the approved GAA. President Marcos Jr. also instructed the DPWH to prioritize the maintenance of existing projects, resolving ROW issues, and completing necessary feasibility studies. The Chief Executive has been meeting key government agencies to review projects that were defunded in the 2025 national budget.
Dateline Malacañang.
The remains of overseas Filipino worker or OFW Jenny Alvarado have finally arrived in the country from Kuwait amid investigation into why a different cadaver was delivered to her family on January 10th. In a text message, Department of Migrant Workers or DMW Undersecretary Felicitas Bay confirmed the arrival of Alvarado's remains in Parañaque City at around 5:20 Thursday afternoon via Kuwait Airways flight KU417. Bay said she welcomed Alvarado's remains together with DMW Secretary Hans Leo Kakdak, a team from the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration or OWA, and the OFW's family upon its arrival. The DMW Undersecretary said the remains of OFW Alvarado will undergo autopsy as requested by her family, adding that the family has requested privacy during this difficult time. In an interview, Kakdak said the DMW is providing the necessary assistance in all forms, services, and financial support to Alvarado's family. Alvarado left behind 3 children who are all minors. Kakdak added that the Philippine government is in close coordination with Kuwaiti authorities to monitor the investigation of the incident that led to Alvarado's death together with 2 other foreign co-workers. Currently, the DMW Secretary said the family has accepted the DMW's explanation on the switching of the remains as the department commits to seeking justice in relation to Alvarado's death. Secretary Kakdak said the DMW is also looking into what what exactly transpired on January 2nd when Jenny and her two co-workers died. Based on initial reports from the Philippine Embassy in Kuwait, Alvarado and two other foreign workers died of coal suffocation after inhaling smoke from a heating system in their workplace. According to Kakdak, the wrong cadaver that was delivered to Alvarado's family has been returned to Kuwait.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news, the Philippine and Chinese governments have agreed to continue honoring the provisional arrangement for the country's unhampered rotation and resupply or RORE missions to the BRP Sierra Madre in Ayungin Shoal during their latest bilateral consultation mechanism or BCM. The two governments, represented by Department of Foreign Affairs or DFA Undersecretary Maria Teresa Lazaro and Chinese Vice Foreign Minister Chen Xiaodong, convened the 10th BCM meeting in Xiamen City in China's southeastern province of Fujian on Thursday. During the meeting, the two officials had frank and constructive discussions on the situation in the South China Sea and took note of the positive outcomes of the provisional understanding on the Philippine RORE in Ayungin Shoal. The DFA said the two sides agreed to continue its implementation to sustain the de-escalation of tensions without prejudice to respective national positions. On the other hand, the Philippines expressed serious concern over recent incidents in the South China Sea, particularly the activities of the China Coast Guard's or CCG's vessel 5901 or its so-called monster ship, as well as the CCG vessel 3103 in Philippine maritime zones. The Philippine delegation raised that the vessel's activities are inconsistent with the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea or UNCLOS and the Philippine Maritime Zones Act. Meanwhile, the DFA said the two sides have agreed to reinvigorate the platform for Coast Guard cooperation and also identified ocean meteorology as an area of focus for a workshop on marine scientific cooperation. From her end, Lazaro underscored that President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has emphasized Manila's commitment to the peaceful resolution of disputes through dialogue and diplomacy. The DFA said the Philippines will host the next BCM at a later date.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Friday led the ceremonial turnover of 3,517 housing units to families affected by Super Typhoon Yolanda at the Barawen Community College or BCC multipurpose building in the municipality of Burawen, Leyte Province. During the event, President Marcos Jr. handed over the symbolic keys to the local chief executives of the 8 municipalities in eastern Visayas and the 3 selected beneficiaries of the housing units. Implemented under the National Housing Authority or NHA's Yolanda Permanent Housing Program or YPHP, the housing units are located in Cool Spring Residences, Riverside Community Residences, Monteagleville Subdivision, Coconut Grove Village, Dagami Townville, and Pastranaville, all in Leyte, Marabotville Sites 1 and 2 in Samar, and the Kulaba Housing Project in Biliran. Of the 8 housing projects, only the land for the Kulaba Housing Project in Biliran is owned by the local government unit or LGU. The NHA owns the other 7. Prior to the ceremonial turnover, the chief executive conducted an inspection of the Cool Spring residences in Burauen, which consist of 600 bungalow-type units, each with a lot area of 40 square meters and a floor area of 28.6 square meters. These housing units are awarded as a grant at no cost to qualified beneficiaries identified as the Yolanda family survivors who were severely affected by the onslaught of Super Typhoon Yolanda in November of 2013 and are residing in identified hazard-prone areas. Let us listen to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. during the event.
Lumampas na ang isang dekada na nakalipas mula nung masaksihan ng buong mundo ang tibay at pagkakaisang ipinamalas ng sambayanang Pilipino. Itinuturing na isa sa pinakamalakas na bagyo na tumama sa buong mundo. Ang Yolanda ay nag-iwan ng pinsala sa infrastruktura at kabuhayan at kumitil ng libu-libong buhay. Sa kabila ng mga pagsusubok natin ng kalikasan, ipinakita natin ang angkin ng lakas na loob, pananampalataya at dedikasyon na malagpasan ang bawat hamon. Kaagapay ng sambayanang Pilipino, patuloy ang pamahalaan sa pagsisikap na gawing mas handa at mas ligtas, hindi lamang dito sa Region 8 kung hindi sa buong Pilipinas. Sa pangunguna ng National Housing Authority, Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development at kasama ang inyong lokal na pamahalaan, ating binigyan ng diin na ipagkaloob ng angkop na kabahayan ang ating mga kababayan. Nagpatayo tayo ng mga bahay na matibay at kayang siguruhing ligtas ang inyong pamilya sa gitna ng mga hamon ng kalikasan. Yan ay dahil sa disaster resilient housing design na masusing isinagawa ng National Housing Authority. Ibig pong sabihin ito, ang ating mga pabahay ay kaya nang labanan ang malakas na hangin at lindol. Ngayon, inihahandog namin ang mahigit 3,500 bahay, bahagi ng mga proyektong matatapos na sa Leyte, sa Samar at sa Biliran. Mula rito, mahigit 1,900 bahay ang naipamahagi na sa ating mga benepisyaryo. Dito sa Leyte, maaari na kayong manirahan sa mga pabahay sa Cool Spring Residence, sa Riverside Community Residence, sa Mount Eagleville Subdivision, sa Coconut Grove Village, Dagami Townville, at ang Pastranaville. Bukas na rin ang Marabotville Sites 1 and 2 sa Samar. Habang sa Biliran naman, ang Kulaba Housing Project ay handa nang tumanggap ng daan-daan nating mga kababayan. Para po sa mga benepisyaryo ng Yolanda Permanent Housing Program, hindi ninyo po kailangan magbayad na ng amortisasyon. Libre na po ang inyong bahay at lote. Hindi na po kayo sisingilin ng NHA dahil bigay na po ito sa inyo ng inyong pamahalaan. Sa katunayan, nagkaroon po tayo ng pagkakataong makausap ang isa sa ating mga benepisyaryo na naninirahan sa Riverside Community Residence. Naibahagi ni Ginang Divina Galamos na tuwing darating ang bagyo, nag-aalala sila dahil ang tinitirhan nila noon ay malapit sa ilog. Ngayon, mas ligtas at kampante na sila sa bago nilang bahay. Sabi naman po ni Ginang Angeles Alba, isang benepisyaryo na naninirahan sa Cool Spring Residences. Kung noon, ayan na, ito sinasabi niya, noon ay nangangamba daw sa kanilang pamilya sa biglaang pagguho ng lupa, dala po ng malakas na pag-ulan. Ngayon, panatag na ang kanilang loob sa bago at maayos na matibay na tirahan. Ang hiling po namin sa mga benepisyaryo ay mapalagaan naman ninyo ang mga pabahay na ito. Sa DHSUD, DSUD at sa NHA, inaasahan ko na palalawigin pa ninyo ang pagtuklas at paggamit ng mga disenyo ng pabahay na mas matibay pa, mas angkop sa pagbabago ng klima at hamon ng panahon. Kaugnay dito, tuloy-tuloy ang ating pagsulong ng mga hakbang upang mabawasan ang pinsalang bunsod ng mga kalamidad. Mayroon pong flood mitigation project dito sa Leyte. Ito po yung Leyte Tide Embankment Project na layong mabigyan ng proteksyon laban sa malalakas na alon ang mga komunidad na malapit sa dagat. Lagpas sa kalahati na ang nagawa sa proyektong ito. Hangad ko sana na sa lalong madaling panahon ay matapos na rin ito ng DPWH o Department of Public Works and Highways. Sa buong bansa, ating binibigyang pansin ang pagsisiguro ng lahat ng flood control projects ay tiyakin natin na maayos ang disenyo upang makayanan nito ang dumadalas ng mga pag-ulan at ng pagbaha. Kahapon lamang, kausap namin ang kalihim ng DPWH upang busisiin ang kanilang mga pondo at proyekto. Tiyakin nila na lahat na ito, lalong-lalo na ang mga proyekto na makakatulong sa pagharap ng mga kalamidad ay maisasagawa ng maayos na ayon na plano at takdang oras. Noong nakaraang taon, napabilang ang ating bansa sa Loss and Damage Fund Board. International po ito. Itong Loss and Damage Fund po. Dahil ang sinasabi ng mga developing country ay sinasabi natin sa mga developed country, kaya nagkaroon ng climate change, kaya kami naghihirap, kaya tinatamaan kami ng bagyo na napakalakas, ay dahil sa kanyang industriya na ginawa nga ninyo sa 200 taon. Kaya ang Loss and Damage Fund ay pumayag naman ang mga mayayaman na bansa at sinabi nila, tanggap naman nila na dapat nilang bigyan ng tulong ang mga tinatamaan ng kalamidad dahil sa kanilang industriya. At tayo po ay kasama na ngayon lang. Hindi lamang tayo kasama dyan sa Loss and Damage Fund Board. Ang Loss and Damage Fund Board ay dinala natin at dito na sila sa Pilipinas upang marinig nila ang boses ng mga Pilipino. Ito po ay isang mahalagang pagkakataon upang marinig ang ating tinig at matugunan ang ating pinansyal na pangangailangan para sa makabuluhang proyekto at programa. Kasabay ang ating pagkikiisa, pinaigting ng Disaster Risk Reduction and Manage o DRRM workers na malawakang paghahanda mula sa pagpapalaganap ng impormasyon, pagtugon sa mga hinain ng ating mga pamayanan hanggang sa pagtitiyak na mas maayos na koordinasyon sa ating mga iba't ibang ahensya. Bilang pangunahing hakbang, nagtatayo tayo ng mga infrastruktura na magsisilbing proteksyon at sentro ng ating mga operasyon. Isa rito ang pagtatatag ng Evacuation Center at Disaster Response Command Center na tatayong sentro ng ating paghahatid tulong. Sa bagong Pilipinas, hangad namin na makita kayong matagumpay, hindi lamang para sa inyong sarili, kundi para rin sa kinabukasan ng mga susunod na ating henerasyon. Sama-sama natin pahalagahan ang mga tahanang ito na siyang magsisilbing pundasyon ng mas matatag na pamayanan at mas maaliwalas na kinabukasan. Sa patuloy nating pagtutulungan at pagkikipagkapwa, naniniwala ako, makakamit natin ang isang matatag, progresibo at maunlad na bagong Pilipinas.
You just heard Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, Radio Pilipinas World Service of the Presidential Broadcast Service is heard over the following shortwave frequencies: 9.475 MHz, 15.640 MHz, and 17.820 MHz. You can also visit our Facebook page and YouTube channel at Radio Pilipinas World Service. You will be able to hear and view our Filipino and English programs, including news updates here in the Philippines. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our posts as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang in Review. For Radio Pilipinas World Service, this is Leo Magpayo. Good day and stay safe.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.